This video is about HackerRank Challenge Day 6. This is Andy, and this is our challenge of the day. If you haven't been here, we recommend you to go over the website and read it through because there's a lot of information here, and the question itself is very, very challenging. You're probably gonna have more difficulty understanding the question itself than coding it. Once you fully understand it, you have I'm pretty sure you have no problem solving the problem. All right, guys, and goes. Well, anyway, pretty much they're giving our input, which is over here, and for each string we have to index, separate, even, and odds. Okay. Anyway, one of my main problems that I was having with this was about finding the input, and as I've been coding those, going through those challenges and coding it, I pretty much getting the hang of it. Most of the times I do solve the problems on my local computer using Eclipse, and once I solve an Eclipse, I come back here and I paste my code over here, run it, and I have a few modifications, errors that throws here and there, and I have to go and fix it anyway. But it's not a big deal, and it works out after a few fixes here and there. But in this specific one here, it was a little challenging, mainly because the question itself. For some people that have some experience, pretty much that will be pretty easy to understand what they're asking. Some beginners will pretty much suffer through this. Alrighty. So one way that I found it easier for me to work with it is make sure that I'm getting the right input from HackerRank into my code. Once I'm sure that I'm getting this input and they're right, I know I have a base to work on my variables. I know they contain the values they are supposed to. All right. So let's declare. Okay, let's get a scanner going here, so we can get our input that's passing through our app. So let's get this. All right. So what they're asking here, they're passing a integer and they're passing a string into our program. Alright, so we have a integer. So our integer, let's see, let's use the same concept as they are using here as a primary. It doesn't matter if you use S or T, J, Z, X, Y, Z, A, B, it doesn't matter. As long as you get those inputs as integer and string, the system will pass the values into it. So our integer, let's scan it, and let's see if you're getting our input. That's one of the things that I said is good to get your input straight out first to make sure you are getting what you're supposed to. So I'm supposed to see now the input on T, which is supposed to be 2. There you go. And that's our input. This input is the number of times we're gonna scan through and through the standard input and pick up hacker, and pick up rank. So that's the reason why the number 2 is there. Now we need to scan twice. So for that, I not have to write scan and scan twice. We can go ahead and use a loop for that. So for, let's use what they use first here, J. Alright, let's use J as first. So J we set to 0, and J is less than T. That's how many times we're going to scan, right? And we increment J. Now we scan it through. So we need a string. I'm going to use S, which is the one the system is using. So my string S is scan. Use next. So now let's print S to make sure we are getting our input into S. So let's just do a system output, and let's print a line with string S. So if this works, we're supposed to see number 2 on screen, and we're supposed to see hacker as first, and you're supposed to see rank as a pass-through for the second time. So let's go and see what you're getting. Did I declare? Yeah, no, I didn't. I forgot. There I go. Okay, so we are getting our input. So that's what the system is passing to our code, and we are getting. So now I have a base, and I know what I'm working with. I know my variables, my input are safe and sound into my variables. I know how to work with them now. So we need here now, we need to separate number, the odd and even, and separate our strings from it. And one way to use this, I'll be using 2 loops for inside the main for. So as it passes for the first time on 1 or 0 or 1, I'll use the 1 and 2. So it's easier to use. Since it is passing for the first time on the string, so it's going to pick up hacker, and for the second time, it's going to use the second loop and pick up the first one. He will pick up the hacker and rank, but you're going to pick up the even on the first loop, and the second loop it will pick up the odd numbers, and we'll separate just like that. So let's use those 2 for loops for that. So on the first for, let's use I, int I, let's set to 0, and now we have our string here. I can't use T anymore because T is only 2. It's not going to scan through the whole string of S, because the string of S holds hacker, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 times in there. And then we have rank, right? Which it shows on our, like this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's separate them. So if I use T is only 2, so we only get HA, and you can see, we can do this test just for you to see. So let's use T in here, which has 2, so we should see HA. Let's increment. Let's get this. So if you run this code right now, you should see HA out here. We gotta print it out first. If not, you're not gonna see it. So system, let's output and print a line with S. Let's use just S. I just want to do this because it's going to print twice. Um, oops, silly mistakes, right? It should print twice each. All right, so it did print twice. That's because t is the value in t is on 2, which the system is passing through it. Now, if we use char at t, sorry, I, so I is only running twice because once I gets to 2, which is a value in here, it will quit. So you should see H and A right there. H and A is not a print line, actually, it's a print. So you got the first one of each. So you got this one here and got this one here. But we don't want that. That's not um, it's not of use for us. So let's take this off. And what we do here, that's how we do. We got this string and we got the length of it. Okay. So our length is 6 for hacker and 4 for rank. So if it does this now, it's going to print 6 times and 4 times rank as it passed through and counted. Now, this one we're going to put on a line because I do want to show you something about it. So you can understand how you can scan through a string or an array. So we have H, A, C, K, E, and R, and again I have here R, A, N, and K, correct? But as I changed it, this just to show you how many times it passed through, it counted. So it is taking the 6 numbers here, is taking 4 times, counting each one of them. How we convert this to read through instead, just repeating itself. So that's what we use char add in Java. The char add by itself won't do anything, but because your I variable is increasing, is counting through many times you pass this, then we have to add this here. Instead having this here is the same as putting this, and for hacker, and for the second time it pass, because of t, is equivalent to 4. So that's pretty much it. If you would type 6 and 4 every time, you would pass through. But as you leave this here, it would count automatically through the string, and it will add the length to it. So if I do this now, it will read through it, but it will read through like this. Right now we don't want that. We don't put the print line. We print in one time. Alright, so just like the HackerRank. Let's separate that again. But anyway, this is not of use for us. There's no use for that. So let me copy this here because that's our output. I don't have to write that again. And let's go. We need to separate even and odd. How to separate even and odd? How do you know a number is even? You know a number is even when you can divide a number by 2 and there is no reminder. That's how you find out if a number is even or odd. Then we can add our output. So if I it can be divided by 2 and there's no reminder, it will get every single one. So we'll get, I actually made this mistake. There you go. we start from 0. Sorry guys. So you have H, C, and E, correct? And then again here we're gonna have R and N input for the first printout onto your screen. Just like that. Now if I change this to reminder, let's say it is not, you cannot divide by 2, and you do have reminder. It's an even number, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, and that's the other words you're gonna have for this. If you run the code, you see that's what we get, right? You have AKR, AKR, and then AK, right? So let's go back to our code. Let's change this to no reminder. And what we need to do is to get the second pass, we need to add another 4, just another code, just like this. Alrighty, I'm not gonna copy and paste. I'm just gonna type down so you can follow up with it. But we need to get out of this for loop here first. We need to go back to the main for, because it passed through the first time, it's going to pass the second time. Alright, so this belongs to this, so we have to get out of this one. So now we are back on the main. Okay, that's the main one. So let's use another for. J, Y, and X. So let's declare X. Let's set to 0. X is the same as the previous, so X is less than S, and the length of S, and we increment S, X. Now we need our if condition to check on X division. Oops. And we do want the reminder now. This I'm not gonna repeat it again. You guys already know it's pretty easy. And instead of I, it's X. Okay, so instead the opposite from there. Instead of even, that's gonna be odds. But now it's gonna print all together. There's still a little more work to do. Right, so oh wow, oh my goodness, they're all together. Not to worry. So what we do, we need to separate them in 2 lines and have a space in between them. How do we do that? Well, it's printing this first, and then it's printing this one first. Then we have a break in the middle. So what we do, we put a system print here. Just print, because we want the space. We don't want the break now, correct? So that's how you would see this. Okay, so we got some space now, right? You space this right there, and then this one. But now we need to separate. How do we separate that? Well, we need a line breaker in here, right? So what we do, we go back past and go back to the main. Go back to the main again. And over here we put another system. Dot out. The print line now. That's all we need. That's all we need in here. And that will give the line breaker in there. We can test. It's not gonna pass. Correct? We got the same answer, but it didn't pass. Oh well, we got a number 2. So remember that I put the number 2 to print out up here. I actually can go ahead and just delete it because I don't really need it. Now the code should pass. Right? That's my output. and expect output. It is pretty straightforward, guys. You can use, like I said, before I tried this, and I used a char array, and I used the input into an array of char, and then I scan through the array and have the output. There's options to do this top one here, using the while loop. I think we're using the for is pretty straightforward, and it works 3-4 loops and you got it. Main one and two inner ones, separating them. There's other ways to do that as well. I see some people that used strings odd. They declare the strings here up here odd, and even initialize as null, and later just um, append it to those strings and print them out after. I think it was too much work. There is a lot of margins for error, and one thing we have to do here, we have to close the scan. I was forgetting about it. We don't want that leak into our system. No, didn't work. For some reason, right? Before, got you. Because it's still passing through it. I was closing before I was getting out of the main loop. So over here, it shouldn't be using scan anymore because we're still scanning through. That's why we're not getting the second. That's it. That's why we're not getting the second word in there. But you cannot forget about this. This is very important. Again, I saw the people when they use in the while, they use t minus at the bottom over here, t minus, or t equal t minus 1. So there's a few ways to do it, and if you have any questions about this, just leave your comments below. If you're not me, other people that know better than me will answer your questions. If you have any recommendations, just let me know. I'll be posting other videos about HackerRank on here, so you can follow through if you need help. They do have their tutorials in here, but sometimes they're not too helpful because they suppose that people knows more about coding, and I believe that's why they put this complicated questions in here. I do believe it could be simpler, but anyway, at the same time, it helps you to develop your problem solving as well and critical thinking. But if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I will be in touch. Good luck.